Good evening, students. Today we'll have a discussion upon various national income aggregates, at least some of them, if not all of them. In the previous discussions, we discussed the difference between few terms. Few of them which are important here is gross and net. You know it, the difference between the two is consumption of fixed capital. And domestic and national, the difference between the two is net factor income from abroad. I hope that part is pretty clear. Now, let's move ahead and try to understand certain things which are mentioned on the board right now. Let's take the first one, GDP at market price. GDP at market price, its full form is gross domestic product at market price. Now, if I have to define it in pretty simple terms, there are a few points which you will remember. It is the market price of all the final goods. Remember it? Final goods. I am not taking the intermediate goods in this one. Of all the final goods which are produced in the domestic territory in an accounting year. Am I clear? Now, that domestic territory here means it can be produced by residents or the non-residents. Important thing, it should be produced within the domestic territory of our economy. Am I clear with? Now, the key thing to remember here is it is inclusive of depreciation. Now, when I say it is inclusive of depreciation, I mean to say that all those capital goods which have undergone repair and were also relaid or investment was done on making of it the last year, that is also included in it. So not only the new goods are produced in this year, but also some amount is spent on making of the old goods. That is what does the term inclusive of depreciation means. You remember it? Gross includes depreciation, net doesn't. Am I clear? Now let's move to the right hand side of the board. Net domestic product at market price. I will pick almost the same terms and try to see how it differs. It is also the market price of all the final goods which are produced within the domestic territory, right? Within the domestic territory, but most importantly, it is exclusive of depreciation. So if you want to present it, the net domestic product, you can also say that it is the market price of all the final goods which are produced within the domestic territory, that means produced by resident as well as non-residents, but most importantly it is exclusive of depreciation. So you can also say that it is net, which means it's only new goods which are taken into account, which are produced in this year and not the old ones. Am I clear? So if you want to, you can also mark it down and put forward the word net somewhere to differentiate between the things, that the term that it is exclusive of depreciation when compared with the gross one. I hope all of you are understanding it. So what is the critical point of differentiation? Inclusive of depreciation, this one exclusive of depreciation. Now, continuing further, from A1, I'll try to take another variable, which is GNP at market price, which is otherwise referred as gross national product at market price, right? Now, if I have to define this one in simple terms, what I will call it as, it is the market price right, of final goods, importantly, final goods produced by the residents of an economy in an accounting period. Now, what I am replacing this one, I am replacing the word domestic territory and using the term residents for it. You remember the difference between domestic and national? Whenever the term domestic comes, don't be afraid of using the term domestic territory. But whenever the term national comes, it is more prudent to use the term residents of an economy. Now, there is other way to describe also, and it is pretty simple to describe GNP at market price. It is nothing but the sum of GDP at market price and net factor income from abroad. So you can write either of the two definitions, whichever you feel comfortable. You can take a little bit of help from this definition and say it is the gross domestic product at market price and added to it net factor income from abroad. Or you can define in terms of residents. The important thing is, as soon as you add net factor income from abroad, the term domestic gets converted into national. So both of them will land up you with the same answer in terms of differentiation and defining GNP at market price. So GDP and GNP at market price. What is the only difference? National compared with domestic. What is the point to be remembered? NFI-FA is added to convert into GNP at market price. Now let's continue on the other side. Similarly, you will have the D1, which is NNP at market price. Now, what is NNP at market price? Again, the key things to be remembered, it is also referred as net national product at market price, or you can describe it as it is the market price of final goods, market price of the final goods produced by residents of an economy. And remember, again, it is exclusive of depreciation. So I'm using the word net, you can prefix it to come up with the same answer. Now, if you want to use this term and try to relate with NDP at market price, what you will do is simply take other way of defining it as it is the sum of NDP at market price and net factor income from abroad. As soon as you write residents, it is representing national. But if you want to avoid the term resident, then you can say it's a sum of NDP at market price plus net factor income from abroad. And as a result, it will automatically become residents, wherein you have to be careful that the term residents means that we are talking about the residents of an economy rather than domestic territory. I hope it's quite clear. I wind up with this much. Thank you.